Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Memorial by Bryan Washington. December has been a really weird reading month for multiple different reasons, and this book is the first book. We're halfway through the month and it's the first book that I finished, and so it definitely has drawn me back into the fold of reading this month, and it's inspired me, and I'm just ready to push through the rest of this month. So I'm going to do a review of this book. If you're interested in seeing my thoughts on Memorial by Bryan Washington, keep watching, and let's get right into this. So I got Memorial when it first came out. It came out on October 27th, and I think I picked it up a few days after. And I had just, I had read around that time a lot by Bryan Washington, which is a collection of short stories, an amazing collection of short stories. And I talked about this in depth during one of my reading wrap-ups. Bryan Washington is a queer Black author, and he has such a distinct, unique writing style that some people appreciate and some people don't. But this is his first full-length novel rather than having a collection of short stories. This is a novel that's full of decisions. So there are two characters, and they're Mike and Benson. And Mike and Benson are a couple. Mike is Japanese American and Benson is Black. Mike is a chef. He loves cooking. He works at a restaurant and he cooks all the time. Benson works at a daycare and seems to really love working with children, which is absolutely adorable. Them as a couple, they're not necessarily a terrible match, but there definitely is a lot of room for improvement. They both are completely aware of all of the different flaws that they have in their relationship. And there's sort of this question that is looming over them over the course of this entire book. And that question is all of this even worth staying together? They really express their dissatisfaction in their relationship through blatant disrespect, cheating, physical altercations, and they're feeling this constant pressure surrounding this lack of spark that is left in their relationship. And one thing about this though is that it's not super dramatic fights. It's fights that are very quick. They're not lengthy at all. They're not intensely violent. They're just, you can just tell that this relationship and the idea of staying together is really weighing on these two characters. But really what makes these two characters completely different from each other is that Benson seems to be very happy and content with this idea of just having stability and somebody to come home to after work. Meanwhile, you have Mike, who has a very restless spirit. He's a ball of energy. He really enjoys people. This really makes monogamy not seem to be the best fit for him. And so early on in the novel, he mentions opening up their relationship to Benson, and Benson is not very receptive of that idea, and he says that he's very wary about it because he doesn't know if they open things up, if he will actually want to return, if there will be any reason for him to stay with Mike. Mike seems to be able to juggle multiple men and still be in a relationship with Benson, while Benson is very attached to Mike and really loves Mike and does not want to open things up and step away from the relationship. The issues in their relationship are exacerbated by their familial counterparts, and most specifically their parents. Both Mike and Benson's fathers have health issues. Mike's father is dying of cancer, and Benson's father is sort of having some mental health issues, and he's also an alcoholic. And so while Benson really kind of struggles with the idea of even wanting to rekindle the relationship that he has with his father, Mike decides to leave the United States and travel to Japan to find his father and to take care of him during the last days of his life. But what makes this even wilder is, as Mike is leaving the country, his mother is coming to town all the way from Japan to stay with him. And so Mike is leaving, his mother's coming, and Benson is forced to take care of or coexist in this apartment with Mike's mother while he is off taking care of his father in another country. And so really, like, reading this plot, it definitely seems like a lot, but what I think Bryan Washington does really well is making such a complex, multi-tiered story feel almost effortless. I've talked in a few of my videos about this like idea of the mundane and how I enjoy like all of the mundane aspects of life that authors insert into books, but there really is this beauty in the mundane aspects of life. Benson is Black, Benson is queer, Benson is HIV positive and living. And so the drama is not even the most compelling aspect of this novel. It's the everyday events like cooking and taking walks and exploring the city and simple conversations between like Benson and Mike's mother and the questions they ask and the stories that they tell. All of this really draws you into this story. And so to me, Memorial is beautiful. It's heartbreaking. It's all about decisions that you have to make and sort of being forced to do and being pushed to make decisions that are best for you. And then knowing that it may not always feel right in the moment, but you kind of just have to make all types of decisions in life. Whether that's to break up with somebody, whether that is to move to another country, whether that is to make plans for like what happens after you die. You know, there is definitely a lot of conversation about family and parenthood and motherhood and fatherhood and even, you know, being like surrogate parents to somebody. One person that I loved over the course of this novel was a man that Benson shows some interest in, Omar. And Omar is almost like a surrogate parent to his younger brother and is taking care of him while his parents are going through a divorce. And you have even Mike's father has sort of become a surrogate parent for a young man that works for him in Japan. And so Mike has to like balance this idea that his father has almost become a father for somebody else while he has not been a father to him. And so this is really like such a beautifully written tale of parenthood, of life, of love, of loss. You know, of course, a tale of, you know, queerness and queer relationships. There's really something about Bryan Washington's writing style that I feel is so soothing. I think that Memorial is like the perfect winter read. And I saw on Goodreads that it doesn't have a high rating at all. Like I think it's in like the 3.9s-ish in terms of star ratings. And I've talked a little bit about how frustrating that is, especially when it comes to Black authors. How people do not understand their writing style. They get frustrated with the way that writers, specifically Black writers, but writers of color in general, and those that stay true to like their identity and their own writing style and write from a very cultural perspective, people really, they get frustrated with that and they think things need to be explained to them when they they need to do the work on their own. But that's always a conversation for another day. But this was an absolutely phenomenal novel, and I loved it, and I definitely would recommend it. And I hope that you go out and grab a copy of Memorial by Bryan Washington, because it's so much, it's so worth it. It's worth the time. So I hope that you enjoyed my review of Memorial by Bryan Washington. Definitely go pick up this book. I'll include some links to purchase the book in the description box below. I will catch you all in the next one, and always remember that you are loved.